You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. The breaking news from our friends over at Us Weekly is that RHOA alum Kandi Burruss' ex, Todd Tucker, demands primary custody and questions the prenuptial agreement. Wow, Todd, I thought this was not going to be a messy divorce, but apparently not. The Real Housewives of Atlanta alum Kandi Burruss' estranged husband, Todd Tucker, is demanding primary custody of their 2 kids in the divorce court, Us Weekly can exclusively report. This is interesting because a lot of people pointed out that he was not in the Thanksgiving picture with Kandi and the rest of the family, including Kayla, his daughter. But Kandi immediately dispelled that and said, no, Todd was there. He just left early, so he wasn't there for the photo. And they recently reunited for Blaze's birthday. But some of you were saying, I don't know. I think that Todd has been setting this up for a very long time and has been putting out there that he's the primary person that takes care of the kids. Remember the whole daddy daycare of it all. We also remember some people pointed out during the Kandi and Todd wedding special, they felt like, well, he did sign the prenup, but did he sign that prenup under duress? So they said on Wednesday, November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving, I wonder if Kandi even knew about this, Todd filed a response to the divorce petition that Kandi filed. He said that their 2 children are currently in his care and residing with him in Georgia, while Burruss, who's 49, handles out-of-state work obligations. She just announced that she's going to be in & Juliet on Broadway until March here in New York City. The exes share a son, Ace, born in 2016, and daughter, Blaze, born in 2019. Tucker, who's 52, noted that Burruss' work obligations will, quote, continue to require her to be away from the children for at least the next several months, as he pleaded for primary custody. His filing noted that the parties have been working cooperatively in an effort to resolve all issues, and Tucker remains committed to continuing those discussions in good faith. Tucker said that in the hopefully unlikely event that they are unable to reach a custody deal, he will be seeking primary physical custody, joint legal custody. So that's important to know. So he will be seeking primary physical custody, joint legal custody, and final decision-making authority. He proposed that Burruss having substantial time and meaningful access to his children. So it's not completely messy. Tucker's lawyer praised Burruss as a mother. His filing noted Tucker wishes to make clear that he recognizes that Burruss as a loving and capable parent and remains sincerely hopeful that prior and continued discussions between the parties will bring full resolution of all matters. Oh, we're not done, y'all, because there's more to the story. Tucker admitted that he signed a prenuptial agreement before getting hitched on April 4th, 2014, but suggested that he was pressured into signing it without his lawyers around. Mama Joyce is somewhere and saying, I said it. You know she is. Some people said in that picture she was smiling a little too hard. So they're saying Tucker's lawyer said the agreement was, quote, was presented to Tucker without Tucker's having counsel, even though Burruss, then counsel, had communicated previously with Tucker's team regarding a potential prenuptial agreement. Oh, damn. Despite that knowledge, Burruss' counsel presented the final agreement to Tucker for signature immediately before the wedding ceremony without any notice to or consultation with Tucker's team, who had been significantly engaged in the negotiation process, Tucker's filing alleged. These circumstances raised substantial questions concerning the enforceability of said document. Lord have mercy. These circumstances raised substantial questions concerning the enforceability of the said document. Nevertheless, Tucker remains committed to working in good faith to resolve this matter amicably and privately to the extent possible. So why would you question the prenuptial agreement? Are you going to be coming for the house? Maybe. Or the houses on that property. Are you coming for her royalties? Oh, Lord. The Next Level Girl says, Bravo, pick up the cameras now. Tucker's counterclaim for divorce also demanded a division of all marital assets, which does not include her royalties and things like that, or things that she gained before the marriage. Division of marital assets, both real and personal, tangible and intangible, between the parties. Tucker demanded primary physical custody, joint legal custody, and potentially alimony if the prenuptial agreement is found to be unenforceable. So I'm guessing the prenuptial agreement said that he would be entitled to alimony. So what he's looking for is if it's deemed that the prenuptial agreement is deemed unenforceable, then he would be entitled to alimony. So US obtained the divorce petition filed by Burruss on November 21st. She listed the date of marriage as April 2014 and the date of separation, which is important. We haven't talked about this officially. The date of separation is July 15th, 2025. So I told you, some people thought, did she make this decision on a whim? No, they're saying that they've been separated, according to Kandi in her divorce petition, since July 15th of 2025. Burruss said the marriage was irretrievably broken with no reasonable hope for reconciliation. In her filing, Burruss proposed joint custody of the children, claiming that it would be in their best interests. It makes me wonder, though, him asking for primary physical custody, what does that mean? Does that mean if the prenuptial agreement is not enforced, that he would be entitled not just to alimony, but also child support? What? Oh, it'd be salt in the wound if his attorney was Phaedra Parks.
That's really upsetting.
I'm sorry. Sorry. It ran through my mind just randomly. Okay? So in regard to debt, all right. Oh, wait, hold on. So in her filing, Burruss proposed joint custody of the children, claiming that it would be in the best interest. In addition, the RHOA alum said a prenuptial agreement was signed by both parties before they walked down the aisle, and she wanted it enforced. Of course she does. But some might say it did feel like he was pressured to sign it, but he did sign it. And it wasn't like he was given the prenuptial agreement a day before. In regard to debt, Burruss said that parties possess debts that have been incurred throughout the duration of the marriage, which should be subject to equitable division directed by the prenuptial agreement. She asked the court to determine the amount of any child support award. So that's important. So she's open to paying some sort of child support or receiving child support. Burruss announced the split to Tucker after 11 years via statement to People on November 21st. So she released it because she knew people were going to see that she filed. In her statement, she says, after deep thought and a lot of prayer, I've made the decision to move forward with a divorce. This is a difficult and emotional time, but my focus remains on protecting my peace, being the best mother I can be, and co-parenting with love and respect. She says, I'm stepping into a new chapter, pouring into my work, my family, and my own growth. I'm grateful to everyone who supported us throughout the years, and I ask for privacy, grace, and understanding as we navigate this transition with our family. And she recently broke her silence talking about the split and saying that it was brewing for a while during her most recent Amazon Live. If you missed any of this story, you can definitely check it out on our YouTube channel. We've talked about it. I've done podcasts where I cover all of the details about this. But this is a breaking story that Kandi Burruss, in her divorce, Todd is now asking for primary physical custody, saying that Kandi, based off of her career, is far too busy. And Kandi's about to be on Broadway. She's doing Broadway and Juliet, and she's probably already here rehearsing because she's supposed to. Yeah, she's definitely here because she's premiering this month in And Juliet. And then she's going to be on Broadway until March. Lawyers, feel free to weigh in the comment section. What could potentially the primary physical custody mean for Kandi when it comes to child support, spousal support, and the fact that he's questioning if he had enough time and was able to seek legal counsel when signing this prenuptial agreement. Todd Tucker is asking for primary custody, but joint legal custody, but primary physical custody of the two children that he shares with Kandi. And he doesn't want the prenuptial agreement to be honored in this divorce. Mama Joyce is somewhere saying, I said it. Just saying. Coco Esquire, I have a question for you.
Oh, hey, Camp. You've been looking good.
by the way.
Thank you. A question for you. Did you see the video that I just posted about Kandi and her divorce from Todd?
I saw when you broke the news on the last video.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yes.
What are your thoughts, quickly, if you can, not quickly, but what are your thoughts on him seeking primary physical custody, but joint legal custody?
As he should.
Okay.
And, I am typically not me saying that is just based on the reality of life. When you think about the standard for child custody is best interest of the child. And even Ray Charles can see that Kandi is always on the move. And so the option is, and this probably happens, I don't know, because it ain't my life. Some people may take their kids on the road with them. Perhaps they're homeschooled. I don't know if that's the case with her children, but somebody's got to be at home with these kids. Yeah. And Kandi is traveling, and that isn't shady. That's just the reality of the life. And if you're always going, always away, you're dragging the kids through airports. And is that the best thing for them? And I don't know the answer. That's for Kandi and Todd to decide. No. But that's her life, right? And I think he should ask for that.
What about him now questioning the prenuptial agreement? Challenging.
Yeah, I think that's standard. Kandi, we all need to have, as a community, a come to Jesus moment about how you hire counsel. Because when I saw that video of her lawyer storming into that room with some video recorder trying to record him signing it and saying, yes, you talked to an attorney, and yes, you were, and having him kind of go through this rendition and make these proclamations, I thought this is not going to age well. And I don't know if it was staged or what, but that means nothing. The reality is, if it's true that he signed it only moments before the wedding, that is suspect. That's just suspect. It is what it is. Even if he'd been presented the agreement prior, he did not sign it. And so he could argue that there's a reason he didn't sign it. He didn't think it was advantageous. As I recall, he even said, my lawyer advised me not to sign it.
Now you got me. I'm going to have to go back because I can't remember. I mean, it was so long ago now, like 14 years. Well, not 14, like 11 years. So I'm like, okay.
I'm pretty sure that was like a comment that he made. My lawyer advised me not to sign it. And so, I don't know why his lawyer advised him not to sign it. But if for some reason he was unfairly disadvantaged in the agreement and he signed it under the pressures of an impending wedding within a few hours, you don't have to hold a gun to somebody's head for it to be duress. It's just, you want to have a cool head when you sign that type of an agreement, because people say they marry for love, but marriage is a business arrangement. Let's be clear. Yeah. That's what it is. And so they have a long-term marriage, which is what is noted under the law. They've been married for over 10 years. Lots of things have changed in 10 years from when they first sat down to get married. They done had kids. They've got all these businesses. His lifestyle and even Kandi's lifestyle has changed significantly, perhaps in a way that neither of them could have even envisioned. So maybe a relook as to whether or not the prenuptial agreement is the best mode to determine how they're going to, dissolve this union. I think he's got a good lawyer. Yeah. What I do note, though, is that his tone, although he was challenging these things, his tone, in my opinion, still seemed very amicable. Yeah. As I note, someone observed that she's a great mother. So it doesn't sound like he's like, yo, you need to pay my way. Sounds like he's just like, yeah, I want physical custody because I'm going to be the one that got the kids all the time anyway. You going to be gone. You're totally
Broadway.
reasonable.
She's going to be on Broadway for the next few months until March.
Yeah. And so now what Kandi has to do is say, yes, this is how my schedule and a joint physical custody arrangement is going to be most beneficial for the kids. Now, she's going to have to go on her bag and demonstrate that it's in the best interest that they have shared physical custody. And one of the questions that I know came up was about the child support. And you know, you can have, Todd they can have shared physical custody. And if the kids are with one party more, like they typically do a split in terms of the time. And if the kids are with both parents 50-50 and they're enjoying a similar lifestyle, then custody at both houses, then child support may not be an issue. But if one parent lives in a 1-bedroom condo and the kids have, a sprawling estate at the other parent's house, the goal is to have the children have a similar lifestyle wherever they're at.
Yeah.
That's the goal. So
if he's not living that same lifestyle once he moves out of that house, if he moves out of that house, he could ask for more.
Well, he may be awarded child support in the event that they were to even get a 50-50 split. He could still end up getting child support if it was necessary to ensure the kids didn't experience any type of deprivation of their lifestyle. Now, that's not to say that he has to also be living in a mansion, but certainly there's a disparity between your dad staying in a 1-bedroom apartment and you having to sleep on the couch versus at your mama house where there's 10 bedrooms and y'all got an acre to go outside and play. Like, so those are two different, the spectrum is massive.
Yeah.
But I think it's totally reasonable. I think he had a respectful statement, as I recall. And I think that he has to do that in order to get any respect for the investments that he really did make into this marriage, even if it was just holding her purse. Like, he made some investments. So good for him.
Well, I just randomly thought of that. Miss Esquire, if you're listening, feel free to call in back just because I want to hear both perspectives.
Anyway, Kemp.
Thank you, Coco. We appreciate you.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
You too. Bye. All right. I'm going to bring Miss Esquire back up. I want to, first of all, say thank you. But Miss Esquire was in the chat, and she said this, and I'm going to bring Miss Esquire up in just a second. She says, the fact that Todd ignored his counsel's advice not to sign a prenup will come back to haunt him. Then she said, I wonder if Todd is going to be able to show he's taken more of the primary parenting responsibilities during the kids' lives. And she says he absolutely could ask for more, even if 50-50, but much more if he's granted primary custody. So that was my thought, Ms. Esquire, in regards to when I reported on the breaking news earlier. I was just like, I wonder if he's seeking primary custody for, not just because he literally is the primary physical person around and because Kandi travels a lot, but I was like, is there another ploy to that? What's your perspective on this breaking news about Todd seeking primary physical custody and also questioning the prenuptial agreement?
Well, first of all, always going to shout out Miss Coco Esquire. I love my girl down. She is so great. I learn a lot when I listen to her, so I love listening to her. And I don't think we're going to diverge too much. But what I will say is I think I agree with her to a certain extent that he could have gone for the jugular and gone for sole physical custody, not joint legal custody. I think that's a very reasonable and respectful place to start when talking about custody is like, hey, I think I should be the primary parent, but I think we should make all the legal decisions together about like where they go to school or any health issues that they have. So that is where he's sort of starting. And again, my concern would be, given that Kandi is so busy and she has so many businesses, like, is he going to be able to show, no, like, I'm actually the person who takes them to their activities and takes them on play dates and knows their teachers and goes to the parent conferences and communicates with the doctors and makes the dental appointments. Because, they did have a non-traditional marriage, it seemed to me, where the gender roles were not so rigid. And so it may come to pass that he's able to show that. And so then the question really is, which parent, if they have a healthy co-parenting relationship and the kids have a healthy relationship with both of them, which parent is in the best position to do the primary parenting? Now, to Coco Esquire's point, I think the problem is his lifestyle that he can maintain on his own is not going to allow him to do that. And if they've equally co-parented the kids, then to me, the court's in the best interest of the children to have them not have as much disruption in their life, for their schedules not to change, for their environments not to change as much as possible, would lean towards keeping them where they are and allowing very, very heavy visitation with their dad, maybe 50-50, 1 week on, 1 week off kind of thing.
Mm.
1 week on, 1 week off, people think of 50-50 visitation as like, oh, that has to be the optimal situation. It really isn't. Not for the kids, it's not. Because you have to think they're in different living situation week by week. They have different routines, different environments, different schedules. That's really, really hard. It actually is preferable in a lot of places in the best interest of the child to give them one primary place where they live and very heavy visitation and involvement with the other parent. So I just wanted to also say that, like, I think a lot of people perceive 50-50 visitation or custody as like the optimal situation. It really isn't for the kids. It might be for the adults involved, but that's not what the courts consider. They consider what is in the best interest of the children. You have two very young children who have known their parents to be married in the same household since the beginning of their lives. They're already going to go through a lot of changes, having to adjust to the fact that their parents are not together. Then you taking them in and out of their home. It's very disruptive. It's very unhealthy for them. You can see behavioral issues, academic issues result from all of that. And these are very formative years. So it will be interesting to see how he's able to support him being the primary parent. That is what I worry about for Kandi. Has he been the primary parent during the marriage? Because if so, then they're more used to his routine, his structure, his flow, and you're like the parent who kind of comes in and out. And what does it look like for that now to swap? How much support would you need? Would that be putting a lot of people in their lives? If you remember when Martell and Melody were going through this, one of the legitimate things I think Martell was able to say, although there wasn't much, was, hey, you do a lot of traveling, you have a lot of nannies. When you're out of town, I would like sort of a right of first refusal when it comes to my kids. Why should they be with some caregiver that you've, hired or family member, as opposed to me being able to have that quality time with them? That's another argument that sort of kind of will play into whether primary custody is given to one parent or another. The courts do. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Do you think that it was a smart decision in her taking on this Broadway role?
I think it's a very interesting decision because I would imagine that the children are domiciled in Georgia. I would imagine that they're educated in Georgia unless they're homeschooled. And so Broadway is 8 shows a week. The only day
A
you get
lot.
off is Monday. And so I don't know how she's going to be able to do 8 shows a week and primarily parent the children from New York if they're domiciled in Georgia. This is a Georgia filing, which suggests to me they are a Georgia family. This is a Georgia marriage. That's where all of their estate and marital property is. And you're in New York for work right now. It doesn't sound like a great fact in her favor.
Could they grant temporary primary custody while she's doing this?
They could, but the question I think that Todd's attorney is going to raise, okay, Your Honor, if you give her primary custody, how is that going to be administered? How is she going to primarily parent those children? Is that going to happen through caretakers like their grandmother, like uncles, or like nannies? If so, then you're depriving my client who is in Atlanta, who is in Georgia, who's familiar with the children's schedule from having that quality parenting time with them. Why should that be the case? How is that in the children's best interest? How does that ensure that they keep a strong relationship with their father and there's no alienation from their father while the couple goes through this transition?
Yeah.
If I'm his counsel, those are my kind of arguments for why, she shouldn't be. If there's going to be a temporary situation, let it be a temporary situation that keeps the kids in as stable and as consistent a situation as they're used to as possible. And right now, he may be able to show that's with him, particularly if he can obtain housing really quickly that's in the school district or near where the kids' activities are, and it's not very disruptive. He's willing to allow visitation with their grandmother, with their other siblings. He's willing to facilitate all of that and agree to that. He's willing to bring them to New York to see their mom on weekends. Like, there's arguments he could make in that situation, but it just kind of depends on what the court thinks is in the kid's best interest.
Thoughts on the prenuptial agreement? For those that just joined us, I'm just asking our legal eagles in the building their thoughts on the recent breaking news that Todd Tucker, Kandi Burruss's soon-to-be ex-husband, is seeking primary physical custody, joint legal custody, but he's also questioning the prenuptial agreement, stating that he basically signed it under duress. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a legal strategy and tactic
Oh,
to sort of bring in as much as you kind of throw in everything but the kitchen sink kind of
mm,
approach.
mm,
And because I don't see it. I don't see even the facts. I don't see any facts being alleged in the response
mm,
that even to me present duress. Like he had the benefit of counsel during this time. We all saw that clip where he said, I'm signing this against my counsel's advice, which means he had the benefit of counsel. He was aware of what he was doing and he deemed it in his best interest. He is
mm,
on camera during that videotaped signing with her counsel, answering all of those affirmative acknowledgement and informational questions that usually make a prenup airtight. I don't know what the legitimate argument is that they have, but it looks like to me a legal strategy similar to what Miss Coco Esquire said, which was a great point when we were talking about the Wendy case.
mm.
Remember when I was like, I don't know why they would separate this into two cases. That's expensive for them. Why would they want to put themselves through that, their family that? And she was like, girl, this is legal strategy to wear the courts down, to make these
Mm.
prosecutors work for this conviction, to lead them into wanting to, settle this or dismiss charges. And he's like, okay, you know, right? I forgot that sometimes we just make things weird and awkward as attorneys through legal strategy
Yeah.
to make things expensive, to make things go on longer, and to entice someone to settle with you on favorable terms.
Mm,
The prenup feels like it's in that area because the facts just don't seem to suggest that there's legitimacy to a duress claim.
mm.
But maybe more facts will come out that, make his claim seem more legitimate. I just don't see him right now, but I can see the legal strategy, and at least you can't win arguments that you don't make, essentially. And so sometimes you have to make arguments if there's a colorable claim for you to make them, and there are facts that could, suggest that the claim is legitimate.
So would you say this is less messy than just a legal strategy?
I mean, I'm sure I think it's like what it feels like as a lawyer to watch people make certain claims. It's like, okay, I can understand your strategy around that. I can't imagine what that feels like for Kandi because the
Mm,
whole point of that entire ordeal of going through the prenup and all of the arguments that they had is that you're buying your peace for when things do go,
mm,
a different way. This was supposed to be our insurance policy that we agreed to at the front end when we loved each other, when we were on the same page for what might happen if the time came where we had to part ways. I was buying my peace then that I'm supposed to have now on that issue. And I'm sure for her, it feels like a betrayal
mm.
on top
Yeah.
of whatever other betrayal she feels.
Well, if y'all saw my breaking story with this, I told you the tea that I heard in regards to the divorce. Before you go, Miss Esquire, Coco Esquire sent a super chat. Thank you so much, Coco Esquire. She says, the feeling is mutual. Love to hear and learn from you, Miss Esquire. Todd challenging the prenup forces a conversation. Kandi is a former single mom, is not going to want to lose physical custody.
Let me tell you something. As a single mom of two, baby, I can't like being with if you're with your babies all the time.
Mm,
Like that's why I feel so bad when people do get divorced. Like as hard as it is as a single mom, I don't have to send my babies anywhere week after week.
yeah.
And as much as I try to tell my friends who have gone through it, like, hey, take that time to invest in you, do the things you want to do. Like, girl, you get a week off from your kids. You don't have children. Like Melody said this one time during Love and Marriage Huntsville, she's like, I didn't have children to not see them every single
Mm,
day. And when she said, I remember that from years ago, and she said that it broke my heart because
yeah.
who has babies? And for half of the month, you don't know if they are having good dreams, nightmares, if they feel bad, if they need a hug, they had a
Mm,
good, you can find out through calls, but that would torture me,
yeah.
honestly. I
Mm,
can't imagine.
mm,
But it is their dad. Like they seem to both love those babies. If there's any heart to be had in this, it's like, well, as long as Kandi knows they're good with Todd,
yeah.
as long as he's been a very active dad and a very active parent, maybe that will be a saving grace here. But I still can't imagine any mother like not wanting to tuck their babies in every single night.
Yeah. Mm, mm, mm,
That's
mm.
hard.
Miss Esquire, Coco Esquire, thank you both.
Bye.
Take care. More details behind Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker's divorce is being revealed. But first, Kandi wants the divorce and the details behind this divorce to be sealed. But was Todd's communication with other women the last straw for Kandi? As you know, we've had you covering this story of Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker's divorce. we were just covering the fact that Kandi Burruss was saying she was going to be requesting footage from Bravo to confirm that Todd understood completely what he was signing and that he did not sign the prenuptial agreement under duress. And we've unpacked that. We even have a separate video unpacking a couple of different opinions from our friends, Miss Esquire and Coco Esquire. Be sure to check out those videos. I'll link them somewhere along this video. If not, you can find them here on the channel. Well, now, according to Us Weekly, Kandi wants this divorce sealed. And it's probably because so much continues to come out. But there's also a new report from our friends over the Neighborhood Talk about what may have caused this divorce. But if you recall, when the breaking story came out that Kandi filed for divorce, I told you some exclusive details that I heard about this divorce. So let's unpack some of what's playing out. So according to Us Weekly, the Real Housewives of Atlanta alum, Kandi Burruss, made moves in court to keep her divorce out of the public eye, days after her estranged husband, Todd Tucker, demanded primary custody of their kids, Us Weekly can exclusively report. On Monday, December 2nd, Burruss, 49, explained to the court that she and Tucker, who's 52, are public figures working in entertainment, television, and film industries. Burruss said in the best interest of the party's two kids, Ace, born in 2016, and Blaze, born in 2019, that all financial information, along with information about the kids, be kept confidential. The musician and reality star also asked that all filings, testimony, and other evidence be sealed. Again, this could be just procedural, especially because Kandi does not want us knowing. We know that she's rich, but she doesn't want you to know how much she made in regards to Real Housewives of Atlanta or how much she's making on Broadway. She doesn't want us to know all those details, understandably. In her filing, Burruss's lawyer said that it is in the best interest of the minor children that the proceedings and all aspects within be sealed to prevent disclosures on social media, internet, and media at large while the matter is pending before the court and thereafter compromising the integrity of the overall proceedings. Tucker has not responded to Burruss's request. As Us first reported on November 26, Tucker filed court docs in the ex's ongoing divorce demanding primary custody of the two children. Burruss filed for divorce on November 21st and initially asked for joint custody, but switched her request to primary custody after Tucker asked for sole custody. As a part of his request, Tucker told the court that Burruss was quite busy and with work and will continue to require her to be away from the children for at least the next several months. In his filing, Tucker's lawyer wrote that the parties have been working cooperatively in an effort to resolve all issues, and Tucker remains committed to continuing those discussions in good faith. His lawyer said in the hopefully unlikely event that his client and Burruss could not reach a custody agreement, Tucker will be seeking primary custody and joint legal custody. In his filings, Tucker made it clear that he believed Burruss was an amazing mother. Tucker wishes to make clear that he recognizes Burruss as a loving and capable parent and remains sincerely hopeful that prior and continued discussions between the parties will bring full resolution of all matters. I'm sure you have as well, been seeing a lot of footage from their Kandi's wedding special when they were preparing for this prenuptial agreement. And the attorney that Todd had at the time, I don't know if it's the same attorney or a different attorney, but the attorney didn't seem like a good attorney based off of how they were dragging out this prenuptial agreement negotiations and things that they were asking for in the prenuptial agreement or to be taken out of the prenuptial agreement. But he also wants this prenuptial agreement thrown out. As Us first reported, Burruss and Tucker are also going back and forth about the prenuptial agreement they signed before their wedding on April 4th, 2014. Tucker claimed that he had a lawyer who had been in contact with Burruss's lawyer about the prenup, but was presented a final draft right before the wedding without his lawyer present. He suggested that the prenup may not be enforceable. Tucker's lawyer said the prenup was presented to Tucker without Tucker having counsel, even though Burruss, then counsel, had communicated previously with Tucker's team regarding a potential prenuptial agreement. Kandi's attorneys presented the final agreement to Tucker for a signature immediately before the wedding ceremony without any notice to or consultation with Tucker's team, who had been significantly engaged in negotiation process, Tucker's divorce lawyer alleged. The attorney added that these circumstances raised substantial questions concerning the enforceability of said document. However, as you know in our update yesterday, Kandi's attorney scoffed at Tucker's views on the prenup. In her amended petition, where she listed the date of separation as July 15th, Burruss said that Tucker had a lawyer before the wedding in regard to the prenup. In her filing, Burruss also pointed out that Bravo filmed their wedding preparations, including the prenup negotiations. So by now, and you can all watch this right now, it's 5 episodes. Burruss noticed that Tucker was filmed audibly announcing that he was good to sign the prenup after speaking to his lawyer. And I just literally rewatched that scene when he signs it. I don't think he has a strong case in regards to that. But again, we don't know if whatever attorney that Todd has signed on as his divorce attorney, we don't know if that lawyer even knew about this wedding special or even watched it. So that's important to note. But now our friends over at the Neighborhood Talk are confirming, well, I can't say confirming, are alleging, but we talked about this when we had the breaking news about this divorce. I told you that was an exclusive tea that I brought to you. So the Neighborhood Talk writes this a moment ago. Neighbors, get into this. According to People, Kandi reportedly discovered that Todd was communicating with other women behind her back. So let me actually go to the People magazine article because I think it's important to go to the source. And you know what I always say when it comes to when People has this exclusive, People is sort of like the other arm to Bravo, and why you see a lot of housewives announce their exclusive details to People magazine. So it wouldn't shock me that Kandi has decided to fight fire with fire, and she's the one bringing this information to People magazine, allegedly. So new allegations are emerging about Kandi Burruss' shocking split from Todd Tucker. In a quote, Kandi and Todd had been having marriage troubles for a while now. Kandi was not happy because she found out that Todd had been talking to other women behind her back, a source tells People exclusively. She had no idea. A rep for Burruss has not commented, and Tucker has not responded to requests for comment from People. The Real Housewives of Atlanta star confirmed to People exclusively that she filed for divorce from Tucker on Friday, November 21st. Recently, Kandi spoke about the divorce. She said, right now, it's a pretty crazy time. She also answered a few fan questions saying that, I'm going to be very honest with you, I am up and down. She says, obviously going through a divorce is definitely not the easiest thing. Sometimes you're cool, then sometimes you have your moments of sadness. Burruss said that there are moments that she wants to reply to online comments. She says, I'm all over the place, she said, later adding, sometimes things just don't work out. It just is what it is. If you go back to when we had this breaking story, I told you I heard that there were allegations of Todd stepping out of the marriage. And this was not a situation very much like what they've talked about, welcoming people into their bedroom. And you may have seen some of the people that people have thrown out there. I haven't heard any specific names. What I've heard is that that was the motivation behind this divorce, that Todd was stepping out on the marriage, allegedly. But like I said to you before, the fact that this information is going to People magazine says to me it probably went through an intermediary from Kandi's camp to People. But that's not fact. That's just my opinion. Guys, I want to know your thoughts on this breaking story that possibly Todd is the reason for this divorce and him talking to other people outside their marriage. YouTuber Funky Dineva is breaking his silence on what really happened the night that Tamar Braxton got into her accident where she claimed that she almost lost her life. He's also exposing her alleged secret relationship with Mendices, Yandy's husband. So a lot of you were hitting me up yesterday asking me my thoughts on what Funky Dineva had to say on his YouTube channel. Unfortunately, we had so many breaking news, live events, and it was just a very busy day. So I did not have an opportunity to do a video or talk about this, but I did end up watching it last night. So we're going to unpack some of this. So, you know, Tamar Braxton recently did an interview with L'Oreal, and she talked about her accident. She also talked about Mendices. And I think it's interesting to see what she says about Mendices because it's interesting what Funky says. I want to preface this by saying we've done multiple videos about the beef between Tamar and Funky Dineva. That was a huge fight on social media. And I will note, Funky warned Tamar. He said if she even side shaded him or slightly shaded him, that he would basically let it all out. And that's exactly what he did. Confirming, because he already alluded during their last beef that there was something happening between Tamar and Mendices. And then you saw the music project that she released with Mendices being the leading man in that video. So a lot of us sort of just swept it under the rug. Oh no, it was just for promotion. A lot of people also believe the accident, her coming to social media, was promotion for this project. She has denied that. Honestly, I believe something happened to her, but I also believe that Tamar loves to come to the internet, no matter good, bad, or indifferent. And even if she gets backlash, I think she thrives off of the attention. So let's first unpack what she said about her relationship with Mendices, because it will be interesting to hear what Funky claims about their relationship.
Putting you two together, do you and Mendices have like anything beyond this film? Or?
No, to be honest, I barely even know him.
Okay.
to be honest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not like, we're cool, but he's not like my homie. You know what I mean? It's not like that.
That's interesting. I'm going to play it one more time because I want it to be embedded in your brain, especially after what we get into when it comes to what Funky has to say. Sidebar. Sending prayers to Funky, because Funky also came out, I think like last week, to reveal that he was diagnosed with stage 1 prostate cancer. It's in the early form and he's getting treatment. So let's continue to send love and prayers to Funky. No matter how you feel about him, we do not wish ill. You know, I'm always talking about the importance of your health. You have nothing if you don't have your health. So let's first start off by saying that. But take a look at what Funky had to say about why he's revealing what he's revealing when it comes to Tamar Braxton. And we're playing this under fair use. You're going to hear a little bit of an echo just to kind of distort the sound is what we have to do with YouTube, okay?
I'm gonna move on to a story that I'm still up in the air about.
And I'm fast forwarding it because it's like a 15-minute video, so I'm trying to lessen the time for you guys.
About how I'm gonna respond to Tamar, okay? But Tamar recently did an interview with L'Oreal, and I don't know. She just did something I didn't like. Take a look.
Are you aware of what really happened to you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, you talk about it.
I can talk about it, but I'm not aware of what really happened to me.
Yeah.
All I know.
Pay attention to her body language, y'all. Because before, and you know, if you watch my coverage of her accident, I said, guys, anything can happen in your home. God forbid. You could wake up and feel ill and you don't know why you feel ill. Or you could just wake up in the middle of the night and trip over something and something like that. I said that in the beginning. But when I see her reaction, her body language is telling me, no, you're not telling us the 100% truth of what happened to you. And here's the thing, Tamar, you did not have to come to the internet and say anything. So if something embarrassing happened, you didn't have to say a word. You could have went and got your teeth fixed, or whatever you needed to do, because we never really even saw you look a mess. So we did not need to know. And to be honest with you, but I'm also a very private person, I would not come to the internet if I just had a almost near-death experience. But this is Tamar. Pay attention to her body language when asked. She looks over to the side. We're not body language experts, but aren't we?
I'm gonna move on to a story that I'm still up in the air about how I'm gonna respond to Tamar, okay? But Tamar recently did an interview with L'Oreal, and I don't know. She just did something I didn't like. Take a look.
Are you aware of what really happened to you?
No,
okay, you talk about it.
I can talk about it, but I'm not aware of what really happened to me.
Yeah.
All I know is that I went to a friend's birthday party. I gave a friend a birthday party.
I already knew when I saw this clip that Funky would respond. And people were already in the comments saying, oh, when Funky responds, I hope she doesn't say anything. Because she's now saying that she wants to make it seem like she was throwing him a birthday party. But take a listen to what Funky says that it actually was and what actually transpired that night. It's important to note that when all of this happened, when she got into that accident, because there was video footage of her and Funky hanging out the night before, people were making some really damning claims. I remember reporting on it, that people were making damning claims. And I told people, I was like, y'all better be careful, because y'all would be very lucky that Funky doesn't decide to take legal action, because what you're insinuating is defamation and criminal.
Well, we ain't gonna touch on that. I came home like I would normally do. Well, you kind of know the spiel. I come home, I take a shower, wash my face, I come back in the kitchen. We'll have more.
Okay, so the rest of the interview is irrelevant. Tamar, I'm gonna speak to you directly. I never wanted what transpired between me and you to transpire. I didn't. In this moment, it's still not something that I'm very proud of. And I honestly wish that I could go back a couple months and we could be in the place that we were before this happened. But what I can't tolerate is the sly shade, the sly messiness, and this thing that you do. You do just enough that when somebody calls you on it, then you can dip your hands back and be like, I didn't do nothing. What?
Sidebar, if you watched our Braxton's recap, I said the same thing in regards to some of the things that she even does with her sisters. And look, I get it. So many of you will choose a side in regards to because you don't like the sisters, and as if the sisters... My thing is that people don't understand that the sisters could be wrong, but so can Tamar. Both of those two things can exist at the same time. But Tamar does have this way of doing things, like the whole cease and desist situation. It wasn't her sisters that sent the cease and desist. It was the brother. So the whole big drama that she caused for their season storyline to cause this physical interaction with her sisters was this big drama over the sisters that did not even send the cease and desist. And again, I say the cease and desist did not stop her business. She still did the podcast with Ashley. When you think about, like, wait, so what are you really angry about? Or are you not really angry and you're just creating drama for some sort of storyline? Or because you thrive off of drama?
Do nothing. I didn't say the person's name. Okay, you started out with...
Are you aware of what really happened to you?
No,
okay, you talk about
I can talk about it, but I'm not aware of what really happened to me.
Yeah.
All I know is that I went to a friend's birthday party. I gave a friend a birthday party.
Mm-hmm. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, because I'm telling you to your damn face, you was a bold-faced, bald-headed, goddamn liar, okay? That night was never about me. You and Zoe and all the rest of them, y'all was looking for something to eat. Y'all called me and was asking me what was there to eat up in my direction. I said everything up my way closed. I was like, we can always go to Roof Chris. Y'all said, F it, meet me at Roof Chris. I met y'all at Roof Chris. You and Zoe. In comes walking Mendices and his homeboy, okay? Now, this is the third time that me and you have been hanging out, and out of nowhere, here comes Mendices, okay? Now, you can make of that whatever the hell you want to make of it, okay?
Which I find to be interesting, because you're hanging out with someone that is a blogger, YouTuber, social media commentator, and every time you guys meet up, did you, in your own kind of slick way, what in the Nicole Murphy are you doing here? And if you don't get that reference, remember Nicole Murphy they accused her of setting up Farquaad, the director, who's married to Leela Rashawn. Okay, we're taking a sidebar, but watch me. They claimed that Nicole Murphy set up the paparazzi to take pictures of them together. Was this the other woman trying to force Mendice's hand in order for him to go public with your relationship? Okay.
I was tired. I wanted to go home. Y'all said we going over here to Sauce in Buckhead. Meet us at Sauce. I said, y'all, I really don't want to go. I drive my car over to Sauce. By the time I get to Sauce, Zoe calls and says, Tamar said, just leave your car at her house and we're going to go to V12. I didn't even want to go. You didn't throw me no party, love. Why are you doing this? Why is it so important for you to create this narrative like you were doing something for a friend and a friend did you so wrong? Okay? So now, you and Mendices sneaking and dealing around. Mendices was behind us at the V12, okay? He just didn't want to walk in, or they had arranged it because he didn't want to be caught all in the mix. If you were throwing Quentin a party, Tamar, the sign would have said Quentin. The sign would have said Funky Dineva on it, okay? Now, in fairness, it was my birthday week, and maybe in your mind, you were saying, let's go out and continue to hang for your birthday, or it's your birthday, let's hang. But to create this narrative that you went to throw a birthday party for a friend, and this friend did you so wrong. That's not right, Tamar, and it's not fair to me, and my feelings are hurt behind it. My feelings are really hurt behind you trying to create this narrative. And here is what the situation is, my love. For whatever reason, you being Tamar Braxton that you are, you like running to the internet and stirring up mess and confusion and drama. It's what you like. There is no real world where anybody busts out the front of their damn mouth and then start talking about they woke up in a pool of blood and they almost died. I did not play it in this interview, but at the time in which you went to the internet, you said you woke up in a pool of blood and almost died. In this interview with L'Oreal, you mentioned that you were home with David or somebody, and they said, we need to call an ambulance, and you were like, no, we're not calling no ambulance, which suggests to me that you did not almost die, okay? But now, since you want to be like this, let's be like this. Part of the problem with this whole thing was, Tamar, is that I was never comfortable with the relationship that you and Mendeecees had in front of me, okay? All of that, you at the music video shoot, in your booty shorts, sitting on top of him meeting us up at restaurants every time we met up, I was very uncomfortable with it. And tell me, we gonna tell it, let's tell it all. So since you was throwing a party for a friend's birthday party, do y'all want to know why I did not get out of the car and go upstairs with Tamar when we got back at her house? Because after her and Mendeecees got through kissing in the back of that goddamn car, I figured they wanted to be up there privately. That is why when we got dropped off at Tamar's house, I did not go upstairs.
That for me was the bombshell, because so many people are saying, what kind of friend doesn't walk their friend to the door? There was a lot of that. But now that makes even more sense. That clears his name. And mind you, this happened a few months ago, and he didn't even mention that. That would have cleared his name then too. So I find that to be really interesting that now he's revealing this. He did say, though, he did warn her the last time that they had this beef, that you do anything slight shady towards me, I'm going to release the clip, basically.
My damn car and went home because you was sitting on his lap in that goddamn Uber and y'all was kissing. Okay, and it made me damn uncomfortable. Okay, now.
But didn't she just say that's not her friend in regards to Mendeecees? She barely knows that man, but you were slobbing him down in the back seat of the Uber?
If anybody know who happened and what happened to your damn teeth, it's Mendeecees and his best friend, because they was the ones who went upstairs with you. Now I don't know whether they was fucking your head from the back and ran your head through the headboard or what. Okay. But if anybody need to be investigated on what happened to you in your damn teeth, it need to be Mendeecees and his friend, because that's who went upstairs with you. That's who went upstairs with you. Okay? All the phone calls I got at the V12, is Tamar drunk? Why is she sitting on Mendeecees' lap like this? Why is she sitting on Mendeecees' lap? And see, here's the thing. I hate that I even chose to go this route, because it follows the narrative of, oh, he just a messy sissy who couldn't wait to get Mad Day to tell her business, keep the messy punks from around you. Like, it would seem to me, Tamar, if you knew that I was holding on to all of this, that you would just leave me the fuck alone. If you didn't throw no party for me, if anything, you threw a pre-party for Mendeecees. Because he the one who went back upstairs with you. That lady husband.
Do we know? I keep asking this question because I remember the narrative that Yandy and Mendeecees never legally got married. But it doesn't, that even shouldn't even matter. They've had a very public relationship. They're in a serious relation, or at least was in a serious relationship. I don't know.
And see, y'all be around here in these blogs and thinking y'all be knowing what y'all be talking about. Folks be eating me up. And I just be sitting there. If only y'all knew. If only y'all knew. He's such a bad friend. If she was drunk, why he didn't go upstairs with her? That fatty just want to be around her. He just want to be around her because of XYZ. A real friend would have went upstairs with her. I didn't need to go upstairs with her because that lady, her husband, went upstairs with her. You absolutely right. A real friend would have went upstairs. Her real friend went upstairs with her. And the whole issue, Tamar, about the whole thing was the fact that you don't get to go around and create media storms that involve other people without their permission. That whole, my teeth fell out, and I don't know what happened. Tamar, like, sis. And then you had that Spanish lady make that video down in Miami lying. There is nobody who had the amount of
The Spanish lady he's referring to was the dentist. Apparently she went to Miami to this particular dentist, and she came out and did that collaborative social media post talking about the possibilities of what could have happened to Tamar. and what she ruled out based off of Tamar's injuries.
Trauma that you had that healed that quickly. You know what happened when it's time to be messy. You know what happened when it's time to be mean. You know what happened when it's time to hide the fact that you was messing with Yandy's husband. You know what happened when it's time for y'all to sneak in and out of places at different times to not be caught with people, but you don't know what happened in your own damn house while that man was up there with you. Now you don't know what happened. So with that being said, now I give everybody permission to now paint me as the messy faggot. I'll be that. I will be the messy faggot that everybody should stay away from on Get Mad Day because he gonna tell all your business. I had been told this lady to leave me alone. But you not finna sit your triple face ass up there on L'Oreal's podcast and pretend like, oh, you just had a friend that just did you so wrong. You were just done so wrong. Because if anything, I was the one that was the collateral damage in your...
Not Tamar playing victim.
Them people sat up there and called me every damn thing under the sun, made me a part of every conspiracy under the sun, while your ass was sitting back somewhere enjoying all of the media bliss about it because you like it. All you had to simply do was put y'all believe Funky on me and Funky cool. You didn't even want to do that. Then when you went and did it, you took it down the next day. Like, and granted, there is a world where people can say, well, Q, you know, I get it. Some people did not know until I addressed it. But for the record, she went out and said she almost died. I had 7,000 people waiting in the doggone thing because they knew we were together the night before, and they just waited for me to tell what happened. And I said, I don't know what happened to the lady. That's it. I went home, the lady went upstairs, I went home, I don't know what happened to that lady. Now, I understand that in the wake of some people not knowing who I am and not knowing how we speak in Miami, coupled with the fact that Tamar got on the internet and pretended like she almost died, I get the outrage. People are like, how is he referring to her so dismissively as that lady or whatever? And what y'all don't know, what you know now is, the reason why I was referring to her so dismissively is because I knew deep down in my soul, hadn't shit happened to her ass. Had nothing happened to her ass. It would seem to me, before you get on the internet and try to tell people you almost died, that you would have called Olivia Benson from Long Water to figure out what happened to your ass. We months down the line, you don't start a whole media shitstorm, and you still talking about you don't know what happened to your ass? And you didn't think to maybe figure out what happened to your ass before you ran on the internet? I told you a long time ago, I'm not them. I'm not your support staff. I'm not none of them broke sissies that be around you for clout, that need you for money, that need you to pay the tab. I don't need nothing from you and never needed anything from you. I was your friend genuinely. And I'm still hurt by all of this. I'm still hurt by all of this because I don't like how you trying to flip it and make it seem like I did you wrong. The only person who was did wrong in this situation is Yandy. And I'm going to leave it at that. Moving
Well, I mean, really. It makes me wonder, I mean, look, they're going to probably turn this into now a storyline for Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. We won't be watching Yandy. Girl, your relationship is as bad as Kirk and Rashida's relationship. But to each their own, right? This was pretty eye-opening, hence why I'm even doing a video. This is pretty eye-opening. Again, it only confirms to me what we've been saying about Tamar. No matter how many times I said, okay, Tamar keeps saying that she changes. Oh, has she changed? Tamar, not you, the other woman. I'm going to remind you what Tamar said in this interview with L'Oreal about Mendices.
Putting you two together, do you and Mendices have, like, anything beyond this film? Or?
No, to be honest, I barely even know him.
Okay.
to be honest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not like, we're cool, but
Yeah.
he's not like my homie. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's not
right.
like that. Yeah.
So,
She barely even knows him. Not Tamar getting caught in another lie. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on what Funky had to say about Tamar, what Tamar had to say about her accident, and what Tamar had to say about her relationship or lack thereof a relationship with Mendices. Just when you thought the drama between Tamar Braxton and Funky Dineva was over, it's not. It seems as if Tamar is now speaking through her attorney, denying the accusations that Funky Dineva had on his YouTube channel, where he claims that Tamar Braxton and Mendices had an inappropriate relationship. Well, Funky is also responding to her legal letter. So I know you all saw what went down last night. We can't play the entire conversation that Funky did in response to Tamar's legal letter. So if you missed it, we did do a separate video yesterday where we talked about Funky Dineva addressing some slight shade that Tamar threw at him in a recent interview with L'Oreal. Well, now he's responding to a legal letter. So early yesterday, Tamar, via her social media, which has now been removed, I just double checked, and it seems as if she's taken down this legal letter. And I said initially when I saw it, I was like, she's denying these accusations. It seems that she's threatening legal action against Funky Dineva. And I'm thinking to myself, based off the way that Funky described these interactions with Tamar, I was like, there probably were multiple witnesses. There's probably actually camera footage of these instances happening. But were they inappropriate? Well, Funky did go on maybe like a 45-minute rant about Tamar. We're not going to go through all of that. We don't have that kind of time. But I do want to go through what Tamar initially had to say, because we try to be fair, but also what Funky had to say. So Tamar, in a legal letter signed by her, though, this is not signed by her attorney. That should be noted. It's on legal letterhead. And she says this in the legal letter from her attorney, from the desk of attorney James L. Walker, Jr. Okay. Official statement of Tamar E. Braxton. This summer, I poured my heart into Heartbreak Retrograde. Does a legal letter usually start off with promotion for your new project? Okay. This summer, I poured my heart into Heartbreak Retrograde, a project that includes a 6-song EP and a short film. Where are we going right now? Seeing it reach #1 on the iTunes R&B charts in the top 20 overall has meant the world to me and my team. Your support has been incredible. Okay. That's why it's been especially painful to watch a hurtful and completely untrue rumor spread online this week, accusing me of having an inappropriate relationship with my male co-star. So you may have seen where in that interview, she denied even being friends with Mendices. So I found that to be interesting because the streets have been talking in regards to this relationship and people seeing them out in the streets. Funky also alluded to this months ago when he was beefing with Tamar originally, and then he went in and revealed more details about how on 3 separate occasions he was hanging out with Tamar, and then all of a sudden Mendices showed up. And I pointed out to you guys before, I said, wait, was this a plot and a plan? Because why would you have this sort of like DL relationship allegedly with Mendices and be around Funky, who has a pop culture platform, talks about pop culture? Why would you bring it around? And then I alluded that I said, was this her way of trying to expose the relationship? Funky, in his most recent video, said he thought the same thing. Like, wait, did she intentionally bring this person around me in order for me to spread this information or to help promote her new project? Because a lot of you, when she had the near-death experience that she alleged, a lot of you said, is this a promotion for this project, Heartbreak Retrograde? Now, I don't think Tamar realizes this is not making people want to listen to the project. If anything, they're paying more attention to the drama. And Tony recently said this on the 2nd season of the Braxton. I feel like Tamar is more interested in being infamous than famous. She also said, you know how many times I've had to get my publicist involved? And Tamar was like, I have my own publicist. And Tamar didn't realize whatever you do, and when you have this drama, it affects me as well. Tony Braxton. At the end of his rant, Funky's rant, he says he was comparing Tamar and Tony. He's like, Tony would never. She wouldn't. She just conducts herself very differently. So back to her legal letter from Tamar Braxton from the desk of the Walker Building. Okay. This summer, I poured my heart into Heartbreak Retrograde, a project that includes a 6-song EP and a short film. Seeing it reach #1 on the iTunes R&B charts in the top 20 overall has meant the world to me and my team. Your support has been incredible. That's why it's been especially painful to watch a hurtful and completely untrue rumor spread online this week, accusing me of having an inappropriate relationship with my male co-star. Let me be clear. This is a lie. It's sad that the moment you achieve something meaningful, some people choose to respond with gossip and sensationalism. These rumors don't just touch me, they touch our families, our kids, our loved ones, the people who never asked to be dragged into nonsense. I had hoped by now we'd see better from those who claim to report responsibly and love our people. As for me, I'm letting my lawyers take it from here. I'm staying focused on what I love, creating storytelling and making music and films that matter. If you haven't heard Heartbreak Retrograde yet, I hope that you'll give it a listen, and thank you again for lifting us so high on the charts, Tamar E. Braxton. Why did this have to come from the desk of attorney James L. Walker Jr.? None of what is said in this letter really addresses anything legally. Besides you saying that what Funky is saying, even though she doesn't name Funky here, what he's saying is not true. And have you sent a separate, cease and desist to Funky? Well, Funky responded, but before we get to the response, Tamar originally posted this on her social media and then deleted, but shout out to the Jasmine brand for screenshotting it and all of you screenshotting it. But in the caption of this legal letter, she says, people like to trigger me, hoping for me to respond and crash out. That's the old me. I always feel the need to defend myself, but my lawyers will this time and every time instead. I'm tired, but I'm learning to take my Tamartian's advice, use my voice to talk less and sing more. That's it. That's all. God bless. Thank you to my amazing attorney and team who don't lose. James Walker Jr., Esquire, and Company. Now back to big business. Heartbreak Retrograde went #1 on my label. Kiss emoji. You know we have the tiny violin. And I feel like Tamar is always making herself out to be the victim. So let me take out the tiny violin for... Oh, damn, Tamar. The damn violin died on us. Okay, it can't even... It's not even interested in giving you a little something. Woo. All right, let's get to what Funky had to say in regards to this. We're not going to play all of it because, again, it was like an hour long where he basically just unleashed. I mean, it started off with a lot of venom, but by the end of it, it gets to that he was hurt. He really valued the friendship that he was building with Tamar, only for him to be like, okay, you were never really a friend. I could have told you that, but anyway, that's just me. Let me just play what he had to say about Tamar on his social media.
Inappropriate relationship. Well, you tell me, Tamar, if it's appropriate or inappropriate when we're sitting at Ruth Chris and he's rubbing in between your thighs, in between your dress. Mr. Walker, her attorney, you let me know if that's appropriate or not appropriate. Because you were sitting there. Let me move over. You were sitting there and he was drinking and talking and he was touching in between your legs, and rightfully so. Now, let me give her this. You pushed his hand and was like, stop. But you know that cute little stop that y'all girls do? And he kept leaning in and whispering, and he would rub in between her legs again, and she would push his hands off again, real cute, like real 16-year-old, like. Let me know if that's appropriate or inappropriate as a male co-star. And I'm going to tell you something. I just thought about something, and I thought about this in the very beginning. I'm the fool in this situation. I am the biggest fool in this situation because now it's all making sense. I'll never forget calling my best friend Quisha, and I said, XYZ is going on, and I can't understand for the life of me why Tamar is doing this in front of me. I remember saying that. I remember saying, me and her are just getting to know each other, and she got this stuff going on with Mendices, and she know I'm a YouTuber, and she know I'm a blogger, and I'm curious to know if she's doing all of this because she want me to go tell it. You know what I'm saying? And
remember, I made this example yesterday about the whole Nicole Murphy and director Fuqua and that relationship and how conveniently paparazzi took photos of them kissing and hugging up on each other a few years ago. But he's a married man. And people speculate that maybe Nicole Murphy allegedly may have set it up because maybe she wanted to go public with the relationship. Fuqua is still with Lela Rochon. He has not left his wife.
Now that I look back at all of it, I really do feel like it was a scheme that you set up to put me in this position to do it. I also remember overhearing when I got to the video shoot, I walked in, it was you and Nivea was already there, L'Oreal was there, and y'all kept making references to, oh my God, Tamar, when this come out, it's going to break the internet. It's going to break the internet. Now,
why would they think it was going to break the internet? That's an important detail. Because at first when he said, I was like, well, why would they think that it was going to break the internet? Was it because of the involvement of Mendices? Because doesn't have acting credits. If I'm, like, I don't follow Mendices' career as a reality star. Maybe being on Love and Hip Hop is considered acting. I get it now.
Let's get back to the notion of inappropriate behavior, okay? So we've got him playing up your thighs in Roof Chris. I don't know if that's inappropriate or not. We're going to have to let Mr. Walker or the rest of the lawyer, or I'm going to have to call Annalise Keating and let her decide. I will say this. The simple fact that when we would leave the Four Seasons, and when we got to V12, and when we would leave Roof Chris, the fact that when we was at Four Seasons, you and him bent around that corner because them girls was out there that saw y'all, and that softly made the blogs. The inappropriate relation.
And some of the other things that he mentioned, he started to highlight other moments where there were other witnesses. He even told some of those people that were watching, if you were there during those different moments where Tamar and Mendices were together, please reach out to me. Because now he's gathering his information. He also tells Tamar, I don't know why you think that I would be scared that you're sending some sort of legal letter. I don't know if she even sent this to him. This was a public statement that she posted and deleted on her social media. So I don't know if she's even sent him a cease and desist, as she said on the Braxtons. So I don't know if she's even done that. This could be all performative. That would be my question to Funky. Have you received an actual legal letter from Tamar yourself, or did you receive the same statement? Because to me, if someone sent me that statement, I'm like, wait, are you is this a promotion for your new project? Because this is not a cease or desist. I received one recently, which we've talked about. I replied to it. We're all good, y'all. Don't worry. It was very professional. I've recently read through one. So what she posted is not a cease or desist or a threat of a lawsuit. But Funky made it very clear that he is not afraid. He also made it very clear all of the different reasons why what he said he's going to stand on. He also encouraged some of the people that may have witnessed this information that he shared as well to reach out to him because he might need them to co-sign some of this. And I will say this, when the whole situation happened with Tamar, a lot of you were hitting me up saying that, oh, Mendices was at the club that night too. Mendices was at the club that night too. One of the things that came out in yesterday's video that Funky reveals, he says that the reason why he didn't go up with Tamar was because Tamar was kissing and hugging allegedly in the Uber with Mendices, and his friend went up with Tamar. Because a lot of people were blaming Funky for whatever may have happened. There were a lot of crazy defamatory things said about Funky after the accident that happened with Tamar. Now, based on what Funky's saying, he doesn't even believe it was that serious, that the way that Tamar was making it. We've already unpacked that multiple times, so we're not going to unpack that anymore. But now I'm kind of looking like, wait, did that really happen? Was that really true? Was this a scheme that Todd set up for Tamar to come to us with the BS album? And I like Tamar Braxton music. But if it's going to involve all of these theatrics, now no one's even talking about the project. Only you are. None of this is enticing people to go listen to your project, Tamar. And you saying that you're going to let your lawyers do the talking, is it the same? Because you literally are the ones still doing the talking. But I do find it interesting because you know we're body language experts. And I have a little bit more of a clip in regards to what Tamar said about her relationship or lack thereof when it comes to her co-star, her male co-star, Mendices.
Yeah.
So they started putting you two together. Do you and Mendices have like anything beyond this film? Or?
No, to be honest, I barely even know him.
Okay.
to be honest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not like, we're cool, but
Yeah.
he's not like my homie. You know what I mean? It's not like that. And he just got casted in the film, and here we are.
Were you like a little hesitant? This is the one thing I will say, how I think people might get tired in, maybe because you're using his name in the film. Did y'all ever think about using a different name?
We use Julian.
That's a different name, though. You get what I'm trying to say?
We use L'Oreal.
I know. But man, DC just seems so standoutish.
Well, talk to his mama. She named him, not me.
Okay, well, also... so in the film, though, you know, I was in there.
Yeah.
But me and you wasn't hugged up. So they saw the coziness, and some people said they ain't never seen him like that with Yandy.
Well, I've never met the lady, so I've never seen them like that either. Never talked to her, never met her. And so it wasn't a situation where it was like, oh, I'm finna go after somebody.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that. It was like, you know, I met somebody and this person was perfect for the role.
Yeah.
And their experience was parallel to mine, and it worked out.
Yeah.
And we had a great time filming it. It was a very easy, fun shoot. And I don't know, here we are, Heartbreak Retrograde.
Not the lady. Not using Funky's line on Yandy. Body language is telling me you're not being 100% honest, Tamar. Because now it's sort of, maybe because the relationship isn't what it was, now you're really distancing yourself from him. L'Oreal, who is a part of this video as well, did you think maybe using a different name? And he was like, oh, but why wouldn't you use a different name? You guys had parallel lives. Why was there a casting for this? How did that casting come together? Because no one knows Mendici to be an actor. But like I said, maybe Love and Hip Hop is considered acting because, you know, those fake storylines. Or is it just another chapter in the toxicity that is Tamar Braxton? Now some people are saying Tawanda has been vindicated because she alleged that Tamar slept with one of Toni Braxton's boyfriends and her being inappropriate at the recent verses with Birdman. I don't know about any of that. I've told you this before. Two things can exist at the same time, that both of them can be wrong about certain things. Both of them can be toxic. But okay, Tamar. We're going to continue to follow up on this story, guys. If there is any more to follow up on, I don't think so. Unless there's an actual lawsuit or cease and desist that happens. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on this latest update about Tamar Braxton versus Funky Dineva. Real Housewives of Potomac star Monique Samuels is telling it all when it comes to her ex, Chris Samuels, what is happening currently on the season, and what we need to know about Cookie. And apparently there's a lot to know. So I've seen a lot of things about Monique Samuels over the last few weeks. And one of the stories was about her apparently having an affair with a married man. But I'm so glad I followed my instincts and ignored it. Because first of all, the video footage was coming out from a page that seemed like they were incessant in regards to slamming Monique. You could just tell that they were just doing this to come at Monique's character because it just really came out of nowhere. Even though I had heard rumors about this alleged affair months ago. And you could also tell from the video footage, it wasn't anything recent. And even if it was, she's a single woman. Well, now she's clearing up some of that information. Let's first start off with her talking about Chris Samuels and what's going on when it comes to their relationship. She spilled a lot of tea. Monique, if I had known you were in New York City, I would have said, girl, let's sit down for an interview, because she's telling it all in multiple interviews. So let's unpack some of this, and we're going to do this under fair use. So I will be stopping and going because you know how that goes on YouTube.
Recently, these pictures and videos emerged of you and your former co-host, Jason, and it looked like you guys were hugged up, and people were like, oh, he's married. What's going on here? Yeah. So what was that all about?
So first, it's so much. And I'm going to unpack it as easily and as neatly as possible. So when I was going through the divorce, I was separated, but still living in the same house. Jason and I were like great friends. Like we never spent any time outside the studio, nothing like that. As I was going.
Can I just say this? I don't think there's anything happening with her and Jason anymore, but just the video footage, I was like, they actually make a really handsome couple. But that's just me. I mean, my follow-up question, and maybe she answered this in some of the interviews because I haven't watched them at the full length. What happened? Did it just not work out?
Through the whole divorce process, the separation, everything like that, he was giving me this advice that I was like, you have to have been through something to be able to give me this type of advice. We started to have like an amazing friendship outside of work. And I started to learn some things about what he was going through. Mm-hmm. So we connected on that level, him being separated, living in the same house, but people not knowing because obviously he's not, out there like that in reality TV space. Mine was more public. Right. And it was a friendship that was genuinely a friendship that turned very emotionally connected and then it turned romantic. Mm-hmm. And the reason this video is out there right now is because my ex-husband actually leaked it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Boom. So follow this, pay attention to this, because I feel like I believe her. Because she also talks about, in this interview, the fallout with Cookie and where that stems from. So I do find it interesting that Chris Samuels is so close with Cookie and he's always texting with Cookie.
Yeah, so that's T. Like, legit, he has been showing this video to everybody. And the bigger question is, how did he get it?
So off the cloud.
The cloud? No, he actually got it from a former friend of mine who, when you go through divorce, you lose some friends, you lose some family. Mm-hmm. It picked my job.
Okay, look, I know girlfriends share a lot of different things, but some of the video footage that they were sending, I'm like, I wouldn't be sending this to my friend, but I'm different. I understand this. I understand some of you have some really tight friends and you're probably happy, like, girl, look at me and my man. But sidebar, because, we're going to be straight shooters. Pow, 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 pow. Why does it feel like Monique falls out with a lot of friends? Can we just say that? I'm not saying I'm on anyone's side, but I think it's important to note. Just saying.
Blew my mind. So for whatever reason, this particular former friend, we were cool. And then it was just like, and she was the only person that I was sharing this information with, her and my mom. And she ended up giving it to him, and he used it as an intimidation tactic because he did not want me back on reality TV. He's afraid of my book coming out. Mm-hmm. So he has been showing it. So people like in the reality TV world.
So here's the thing. And I know I've said this about Monique, especially when she talked about her relationship with Chris. And I told you Love and Marriage DC did not make her look great or her look like the innocent party in their relationship. But now I'm kind of looking at Chris with the side eye. And maybe because she decided to leave him, and that's why he's so upset. And it also explains his reaction when Charisse called him and he was like, I don't know what y'all talking about at all. It seems like he was frustrated. And based off the text message that Stacey revealed in this past week's episode to Monique about, I heard I'm being brought up during filming. So...
social media, they think they know who he is, but he's a completely different person. Thanks to me, people think that he is what he is.
Right, because you wanted the family life to appear perfect.
Yeah,
you
did a good job at that, by the way. Thank you. And but even, it's to my detriment.
You know what?
To my detriment.
It's so interesting because I feel like you've taken, even in this book, it's not like you dragged him at all. There was a couple of truths that you have that I feel like you express in a way that you weren't blaming him.
Is the book out? I guess this is why she's out here promoting. I don't even know about the book. I didn't see the book. I guess maybe she's sending it to people to read before it comes out. I'm interested. I don't know if I'm interested in reading a book about their life, about Monique's life. That's the thing about some housewives. We haven't seen enough of you to be that interested in what your story is. But I'm not saying it's not an interesting story. I would want to hear more because sometimes people's personal story is far more fascinating and more revealing than what was shared on their reality show.
For the way that things transpired, it was just that he was never going to be the person that you thought he would grow to be.
Yes, a lot of times women marry potential, and men marry and want to stay the same, and it was that mixed up. And I was like, look, it's not fair for me to keep you in this position. Like, be who you are, but who you are is just not where I want to be anymore. I'm evolving, I'm growing. So it just got really nasty recently.
I can't believe you did that.
Yeah. So there's a friend that's been on the show, Cookie. She and I stopped talking years ago.
The infamous Cookie child. You know,
I
saw Cookie.
Yeah,
she was in and out of that party.
Listen, and it's really interesting because it initially got leaked on one of her very well-known fake Twitter pages.
Boom. What you mean well known? Well, we're going to unpack that a little bit more because apparently she's been trolling for a long time.
I can't believe you're back on this show, girl.
I know.
It's so much already.
So much came out. But you know what's crazy? He tried to use that video to intimidate me from coming back. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Whatever. Like, do what you want to do.
Wow.
So it was all.
Now I believe that. Okay, Monique, I believe you. Because it makes sense. Because when the video came out, I was just like, somebody obviously does not want Monique on the show or is really mad at Monique. But I'm glad she's telling her story. I'm glad she's calling him out. Because I was confused. I was like, so who hates Monique this much? And I was trying to understand the dynamic between Chris and Cookie.
It's like, then it was like, well, I ain't gonna do that. You the mother of my child. I ain't gonna do that. You still the mother of my children. But then he still did it. But then he was even intimidating the other parties. Reached out on Instagram DMs, like, call me. I need to talk. And then threatening, I'm gonna put this out on social media. So this wasn't a surprise.
Oh my gosh.
It was just didn't know when but it wasn't. And the video is 2 years old.
Right.
Yeah. So,
yeah, because I saw that's what people were saying. So he was going through his own separation at home.
Right.
While you were going through what you were going through.
Right.
That is wild.
Yeah, that is definitely wild. Here's the thing. I told you when I saw the video, and I brought it up to you guys because I saw it was circulating on social media. But I even told you, just based off her hair, I was like, this is old footage. Not to say that that clears her of anything, but I'm glad she's speaking about it because based on how Monique is describing the situation, it makes complete sense. When we start piecing the puzzle together, speaking of piecing the puzzle together, Cookie has been getting it a lot since last week's episode. Just when she thought that she was in the clear, no, people are still talking about Cookie this week and not the way that she wants them to be talking about them. Sidebar, I'm going to work on a new Club Kempire episode. For those that don't know what that is our Apple Podcast paid subscription. You guys want a juicy episode? How about I read to you the DM that Cookie sent me? I'm gonna give y'all a good juicy episode. I can't promise it'll be today, but I'm gonna give y'all a good juicy episode, and I'm gonna talk about a couple of things, not just Cookie related, some pop culture news. You might want to know a little tea about The Boy Is Mine as well, right? The Boy Is Mine tour. Oh, we'll talk. Become a Club Kempire baddie today. Okay? All right. So Jamie Tyler, you remember Jamie Tyler from Love and Marriage DC? Well, you know our sources in the DMV are deep. And Jamie is now revealing. Here's the thing about the DMV area. It's not really big, but it feels so small because it feels like everyone knows everyone. Well, Jamie Tyler was in the comments section talking about Cookie because apparently he knows Cookie too. And remember, Jamie was a former police officer, so immediately I was like, wait, did he arrest her before? She has a rap sheet. She does. And look, it's from many, many years ago. At least the things she's been convicted for. So, fine. So Jamie says this. I've been quiet about this topic for 2 years now, and I'm so glad that the psychopath has finally been blasted in public by other reality TV fans and talent. Sidebar, I did see that a few ex-users and bloggers have been showing posts from this apparent account that Cookie had on X and how they've been having conversations with her over the years, allegedly. So Jamie continues and says, we already knew it was her when it happened, but the former detective in me wanted that hardcore evidence from a private investigator at the time. Now, 2 years later, she has popped up on RHOP being pressed and messy once again for fame and clout and starting ish with the cast members she hates on their show and still running fake troll pages on social media trying to ruin people's image and families. Well, I want to thank Monique for blasting her and exposing how fake and scandalous that woman truly is. Be careful who you call, quote, a friend on these DC streets. But here's the thing. This is something that we need to keep in mind. Look who Cookie is coming through on this show this season. And I know some of you will be like, Kempire, you just don't like Giselle. There's a reason why I always give Giselle the side eye. Look who's brought Cookie to our cameras this season. Look who's been constantly trying to find an issue with someone. So when they say that Stacey did this or did that or went back and told Chris what Monique said, really? They've been trying to get at Stacey this entire season. So I don't trust Ashley. I don't trust Kiarna. Oh, Kiarna did a recent interview too with Claudia Jordan. We're not talking about it because her voice already was screeching. I listened to it. Ain't nothing that y'all need. Because here's the thing, Kiarna. We still, even after that interview, when you do not have cameras up and you can't be edited or filtered, you still cannot tell us the issues that you have with Dr. Wendy Assefa. I'm not doing a separate video on it. I'm not talking about it anymore. I will just tell you this. Even after her talking about this in the interview, we still have no idea what the issue was. Oh, you came in as Dr. Wendy's friend, even though you guys weren't that close, and she had no other friends on the cast, so that's why you were her friend. Okay, but what was the issue? Because she didn't show up? You're a brat. That's it. I think even Giselle said it this season. You are a brat. She didn't call you a brat, but basically she said you're a high-maintenance friend. Because I don't know what you expected from Dr. Wendy, and I'm not saying Dr. Wendy is the bestest of friends or the best person. However, you still have not shown us the real reason why you are so pressed by Dr. Wendy this season or why you're so pressed by Stacey. She hasn't done anything to you. If she had slept with your man, lied on you, or I could understand. But none of it. It's a reach so that you guys can have a flute. But back to this, because my elephant brain is working. So remember how Cookie even had screen time this season? It's because of Giselle Bryant. Oh, don't tell me Giselle is up to her reindeer games again. Careful with her, Monique. Careful. Just saying. If she's aligning herself with this woman that you say you can't trust and got involved in your marriage. Just saying. Let's get to the next clip from Monique that she did with our friends over at Page 6, because she spills a little bit more tea on Cookie.
But I feel like a lot of heat is on Stacey because Stacey don't care.
She really doesn't
care.
It's magical.
She's great TV. I enjoy watching her. She's funny. She's beautiful. And it's just funny to watch how they make these big deals and they come at her with from little stuff to major stuff. And she's just like, okay, all right, so.
Or just like
whatever. Pointing. Yeah.
And I love the fact that now, look, Monique being on her side, Wendy being on her side, I could see this trifecta next season. But we still need to make some changes when it comes to this cast. Bye, Angel. Bye, Kiarna. The sad duo can go. You're going to have to go anyway because there's no room in the budget. Let's be honest. There's no room in the budget. Karen Huger is coming back next season. Okay? Kiarna also talked about, I saw another clip, where she talks about not having Karen there sort of to help guide her. And so, oh my God, you are so unlikable. I think you got your head filled because people said, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. You are beautiful, but inside you're not. Let's get back to this.
She pointed her finger and kept pointing her finger. That was crazy. You really love to see that because she was pointing at Cookie, right?
She was.
You really don't. You don't like Cookie. We don't.
It's not that I don't like her. I don't trust her, and she's a person who I cut off along with my ex-husband while we were still married. So she was spreading all kinds of rumors saying that she was having an affair with Chris years ago.
Is she?
So I don't understand how Chris has now aligned himself with Cookie unless she's just there to do his dirty work and that's the only reason why he communicates with her. Why would you befriend? Because remember, it's not as if Monique and Chris are no longer co-parenting. They still have to be able to communicate, which she had said on the show is a nightmare. I don't understand why you would align yourself with a woman that lied on you and said that you guys were having some sort of affair. Not that anyone would believe it. Look at Monique. And look, we do realize, look, even Beyonce got cheated on. But with Cookie?
Loser! Yes. So
Cookie.
Chris, yes. And she told
He's in the
people,
cookie jar.
Wait, she made that up? There was no truth to it?
So she was telling people that she was having an affair with my ex-husband, who was my husband at the time. And she said the only reason he was staying is because of the kids. She would tell people these things. And then we found out. Me and him called her, put her on speakerphone, and we said, listen, we're not fooling with you. We just had a crazy situation with a former friend, and the people who have told us this are credible people. We don't know why you're saying this, but we're done. So to my surprise, I come around and they're like, yeah, Chris and Cookie. I'm like, wait, what is happening?
Like, was it surprising to you that he still messes with her?
Yes. Yeah. I was completely caught off guard, and I did not know. I didn't understand how this connection happened again. Yeah. And then everybody's like, why is Chris calling Cookie? Why? I don't know.
Do all the ladies know that she did that?
I told most of them.
Because it's kind of confusing how they would still then hold Cookie as this like truth teller.
They didn't know until after. Yeah, so they didn't know until after because they were asking me like, well, what's your issue with Cookie? Y'all used to be cool.
And here's the other element that we're not thinking about. Cookie is friends with Karen. Apparently, they said that Cookie's best friends. Here's the thing. Cookie also apparently claimed to be the daughter of the godfather of whatever down there. So I'm trying to understand first of all, why Karen would even associate herself with Cookie. But I'm also trying to understand why any of them would want to associate themselves with Cookie at this particular point. Or maybe they don't anymore.
Cool. And I was like, okay, well, I'll tell you what the issue is. Yeah. And I'm so confused as to why he is cool with all the people that I literally parted ways with years ago while we were still in a marriage, who did things to both of us.
Right.
You know, so it was just very interesting for me. And I'm coming in blind with all of this. So when they were asking about, Cookie, I was like, I don't trust her because she lies. Yeah. And I don't trust him because he lies. And apparently Stacey lies too. So where's the truth?
No, come on. No, not Stacey catching strays. Here's the thing. I've yet to see, we've seen a couple little minor lies, but none of the lies that Stacey has told affects these women. They're choosing to allow it to affect them to a point where they want to isolate and alienate Stacey from the group. I don't know, but I'm appreciating Monique sharing her truth. Kiarna, you could learn a thing or two. This is how now we have a better understanding of why Monique has the position that she has when it comes to Chris Samuels, when it comes to Cookie. We still don't understand where you're coming from. And at this particular point, no one cares. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on what Monique had to say when it comes to Cookie, when it comes to Chris Samuels, when it comes to the allegations that she had an affair, everything. Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Don't forget to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And for more information on the podcast, head on over to KempireRadio.com.